All right. So it's been kind of a quieter day of flow, but hang out here for 40 minutes or until close if we get a little more action. But a lot of slow flow so far. I mean, the only three major ones that we've seen, I mean, the Tesla calls, which kind of pumped pretty quick there. Spot calls, little time on those, are just kind of chopping for now. Then those ARC puts, which are getting a lot of volume right now too, so I have to keep an eye on those. But for the most part, it's been pretty quiet for a Monday, and also kind of just volume wise. I mean, volume's down again a little bit. Anything above our 30-day right now? I don't think so. Nope. Another low volume day, and coming off obviously slightly extended weekend. I haven't noticed M1. I haven't. Saw something with their bonds last night. I didn't really look into it. It's still vacation for me. Yeah, I don't really know. I don't know if Keith touched on it a little bit earlier in his stream, but I know he's going to be going live again in a little bit too. But he would probably have more knowledge on that than me. I haven't really kept up on it. Let's look at these MU puts that kind of came in. So this one, you got 1,500 contracts here, got 1,200 there, and about 4 there. So you got about 1,600 between the two of them. Would have to double check this one tomorrow, but Ivy's kind of bouncing around all over on that. Not a fan of that. Yeah, that Ivy is just kind of all over on this one. Yeah, these could be selling at the ask. Won't know until that open interest updates tomorrow, though. But premiums are coming up a little bit. Call premiums dipping. Some core weave calls just hitting the tape. Kind of smaller premium here. We'll take a peek at them, though. A lot of earlier intraday volume, followed by 500 contracts here. So another one you're going to want to check that open interest. And there is already kind of a decent amount of open interest on this one. Just trying to see if it's any large whales. So kind of a big whale there on the 28th. Sorry, the 26th. That's how you can tell it's still the weekend a little bit. Oh, that yawn. Yeah, you're up pretty big here too. Let's kind of look at our. Yeah, see, you don't really see where anything specific just came in. See if we get a clue from this candle though. Yeah, this whale may be taking profits because you see that IV drop right when it comes in, and it's more of a mid-fill actually. Mid-fill in that spot rise. Yeah, they might have to check that open interest tomorrow, but my guess is if you got 553 here and you got a lot of other little candles here, you're probably not going to be able to track that whale, but something to for sure keep an eye on there. COF puts just hit 70 to 83 is your bid ask. Filled at 80, really small size, pretty small premium. I was like, why am I forgot I switched it over for the TikTok there. Let me just refresh this. I was like, why am I getting all these small little premiums? Okay. So TSM here, getting kind of a mid-fill there. And again, here you go, where you got 1,500 there, 1,500 there. Have to check that open interest on that tomorrow. And it's definitely, whatever's going on here is intraday. Yeah, all your volume is pretty much today. So that was your big one there, 13 or at 132, and then 160. So this could be them getting out here. Let's see if our tape gives us any clues at all. So that IV does spike when it comes in. See, just following this up the entire time. Yeah, I don't have the biggest confidence in this flow. Even looking at the times here after. Your IV's decreasing here, you got bigger size, and your good premium, it is all the same timing. Yeah, I think those may be sells here. This may be sells coming in there. Yeah, everything else has just been pretty slow on the day. ETF wise. Yeah, these look like possible put sells to me. If we load here. Oops, of course it loads right when I back out. Yeah, your IV decrease there, your spot price decrease there. Those kind of look like possible sells there to me. Yeah, your tide is just, I mean, everything's bid side right now, not really getting any good conviction on upside calls or upside puts. Volume's essentially flat there on the day. Yeah, just a really kind of slow day. Yeah. That holiday hangover, that day or two after, usually kind of crappy, it seems like. Yeah, your market map here, I mean, NVIDIA, obviously a lot of volume here. NVIDIA is just hammering that volume the past, 7-8 sessions there. Intel, what are we down? 1.65 on a little elevated volume. Yeah, just everything's kind of all over the place here. Coins down. Yeah, NVIDIA, your clear outlier there, though. Yeah, there's just not much coming in. See how our bid side's looking. Yeah, even bid side stuff, you're not really getting a clean view on any good sells or anything. Yeah, it's just one of those days not to force anything. And then some more Oracle puts here. Yeah, these Oracle puts are a little interesting to me. So you got 2,200 there, 11 there, so about 2,600. Yeah, about the same with these two candles and these two. So again, one of those you would have to double check in the morning, but 13% out of the money. It was only 4% multi-leg. Let's take a peek here. Yeah, I'm gonna say probably not a lot of confidence in these ones either. I mean, that IV's up, or at 84.80. Then you got some more come in. That IV spikes. You are coming in essentially at the ask here. some drops in that IV. Yeah, these are looking like possible put sells, or that whale is closing those other puts there to me. That one, 593, then it pops again. Then that IV drops. Yeah, I would probably have to say I would lean that whale's getting out there, and then that was your original there. Let's see, man, it's like trying to pull teeth today. Saw those Avgos, and then I realized they overlap earnings next week. But when we looked at them, yeah, I mean that it spiked when it came in, and you did have a couple drops here in that IV on handful of contracts there, nothing major. Then you had that IV kind of spike at the end there. But again, earnings flow there, 10 days, and these expire next Friday. Let's see what else is kind of coming in here. Yeah, just not much. Not much. It's going to probably be a shorter stream today. That's kind of why I was aiming at doing 2:15, but obviously that wouldn't have made a big difference anyways. Some SPY puts just hitting there again. 643 contracts. No, this could be interesting. Well, a big chunk of it's bid side. That multi-leg is kind of getting up there too. These may be buys, actually. I mean, this is interesting when we look at it. That IV spikes here. Then you have a big drop here in that IV. These could be short puts. They look like buys at first, but kind of diving in a little bit more. Then this coming off a multi-leg. Oof. Big multi-leg. So it is bearish, though. Yeah, I don't like how that IV kind of drops there. And I mean, it's dropping on that size there. These could be short puts. I would probably, I mean, if it made me choose, I'd probably say they're short puts. I mean, you are only 1% out of the money, but that's an interesting one to keep an eye on. Some airline puts from earlier, obviously. Oh, man, excuse me. The UAL 12/12/99 puts, those. Let's take a peek at these. So IV spikes when those come in. Your spot's filling in the ask. Your IV rises a little bit there, so that is definitely none of this is related probably to this. Besides that bid side one there, 956.31. So we come up to here for the bid. I don't like how that IV kind of drops at the end there. I mean, they are probably essentially coming in at the ask here. Obviously, your ask was sitting at that 195 that entire time, and then towards the end, it expanded a little bit. probably have to say those are short, or not short puts, but looking like ask side. I mean, they did kind of move up a little bit there. Then you also had the American Airline ones come in here 11 days out. These did have some previous open interest, though. Is it related? Probably not. Not out of the money. They're essentially in the money right now. So let's come down here and take a peek. So again, another one where that IV spikes when it comes in. Spots coming in at the ask. IV staying up. These are sweeps. Just kind of following it all the way up. Looking good there. Can you not hear me? Purple stop sign. I think everybody else should be able to hear me. I hope everybody can hear me. Let's see. I know Meg said it was fine earlier. See what he says here. Okay. Yeah, purple stop sign. It might be you. Maybe hop out and hop back in. See if that fixes it for you. Oh, that scared me. I was like, oh no, I did another live stream and this whole stupid thing did that. Back to this though. Yeah, so a lot of that, I'm looking at that timestamp after. It's not on a lot. I would probably lean these are obviously ask side 11 days 14. Yeah, when it gets to get messy like that, and so that big one came in there on the 26th. Let's go back to that again and look. So just a lot of volume that day, nothing major. Yeah, I don't get a super good feeling on that one. Long-term coin puts, obviously just kind of ignored those today. 35% out of the money are already down 5% on the day. 35% out of the money is pretty far out of the money. Definitely an opener, though. Here, take a peek. Yeah, so let's see, 67. So that Ivy pops. $69. I'm just following this up. That spot staying at the ask. Let's just keep an eye on this. So you got another little IV spike here. That spot does drop a little bit. $9.42. So that IV is decreasing here at the end. You can see that there, and that spot price is staying at the ask. I think that's all we had on that chain there. Yeah, I didn't like that flow earlier. Just again, long time, you're 35% out of the money, already down. It was over 5% on the day there at the time, so probably not a good chase on those. Those spot calls there. Just waiting to see what happens with those. Yeah, just a lot of bad fills today. I mean, look at those bid-ask spreads in that spot. Just not the best fills. BBWI, horrible spread on that one. Good move, but horrible spread. AMD puts. These, again, that gap down and open looks like probably would have been short. Go in here and take a peek. Yeah, you can just kind of see it right away as I'm scanning here, that 68.44, and then you just see that IV already kind of bouncing around here. I want to see what it looked like when it came in, though. See, 8.31. So it does, and keep in mind, this early in the morning too, the market was still down, bouncing around. This is kind of why I always don't take flow right away, just because that IV can be kind of messed up a little bit. So you can see that IV spiked when it came in. Drove up a little bit. 68.31, what was it here? 68.01. Then that IV kind of started to... Well, that thing did keep going up, and then 68.44. Yeah, that's kind of why I like to let the market settle a little bit at open too, just because obviously you can see how that IV was all over the place there and gap down. So you kind of get a lot of people, oh, I want puts, the market's down. So that implied volatility kind of goes up. So I kind of like to let the market settle a little bit, and I did make a note there too, of course. We had data 15 minutes after open and then at 10 Eastern as well. But yeah, just a pretty slow day. These are interesting. Let's take a peek at these. BCSs. I'm guessing it's probably a block trade, but we'll see. It might not be. Might not be. Big spike in net call premium. 1% out of the money. Ooh, this is interesting here. 33.15. Just kind of following that up. Dropping that IV, and then it pops again there. Not a fan of that IV drop, and then even though we pop again, what else do we got on the day for this? Yeah, I mean, clearly your biggest day of net call premium there. Even 30 days out, I mean, you see you hit that gap closure there. Yeah, I mean, that's your biggest contract on the day, and then you do have the 116.22 calls, it looks like, kind of being hit. Let's look at these. So these are in the money. So that IV drops when those come in. 34.12. Yeah, that IV not dropped when that came in, and I don't see it really fluctuating back up at all. And I do want to take a peek at that 81, the 220.24 call as well here. Yeah, not getting anything out of that one. Yeah, that is a interesting one to kind of keep an eye on there. I want to look at the chart. BCS. I mean, they could be possible sells there at the ask. That is interesting because you are coming back into a looking like resistance supply zone here. We failed 1, 2, 3, came close there. Yeah, well, I mean, historically, recently, we've failed more than we've popped there, so definitely a spot to keep an eye on there. Let's see what else we got on here. When do we have earnings here? Let's see. February 26th. When did these expire again? February 26th. So, okay, none of those overlap earnings. This one does overlap earnings. Just small volume, though. Let's see what else we got here. Yeah, gamma wise, you're pretty extended there. Yeah, not much for earnings. Not much for those. Almost look like call sells there. That's an interesting one there. Interesting one there for sure. So 1226 NBIS 120 call, not coming in at the ask. More of a mid fill. We'll take a peek at it though. Up almost 6.5 on the day. 19% out of the money. So IV drops a little bit there. Yeah, these probably taking some profit here. Looks like they might be selling those. Getting hard to tell when you get such a bad fill like that. SPY more, although those are the same 30 days. Tide just flat. Flat, flat, flat. I'm hoping we get some more flow tomorrow. I'm not trying to have a really slow week again like last week. That's brutal. Let's see. Does anybody have anything they want me to take a peek at? Because there is just nothing coming in here. I'm going to grab a drink too quick. We'll see. I got some typers. TLT. There was a TLT call earlier here, the 1231.94. 6% out of the money. Definitely an opener. West, I'm guessing you probably want that Apple from Friday. I can pull that up for you after. So M1, these TLTs a little earlier here. So looking at these here, they do look good to me. You see that IV spike here when a lot of that size and premium are coming in. And then your IV drops again there, so I'll take that back. It doesn't look the best there to me. Premiums, obviously, kind of all jacked up on here. More bid side today. A lot of bid side there on Friday, which we caught that drop today. Ooh. Yeah, 94 call. No, that's the one we were just looking at. I was saying, oh, that might have a little impact. Yeah, I mean, not really seeing any good direction in here. Obviously, FOMC is going to be your kind of driver. The FMC is going to be the driver there with anything yield related. Yeah, I'm not seeing much for TLT here. And yeah, your highest volume, not really sitting there. Your highest open interest contract, so you got some back on the 12/19/92. Then really long term, I do want to look at those 92s here and kind of see when that volume, and God, you get so much volume on these, it gets hard to kind of track what's what. Yeah, you're not going to be able to track this one. See if it was a single entry, and then I want to look at that long term. Nope, not that one. This one, the 110. Getting a lot of volume on this, so you don't know what's what. Yeah, I only had that one piece of flow, though, on it today for that one. So let's do, I'm going to look at Apple here for West. West, are you looking for Friday's Apple calls or just Apple in general today. Because Friday's Apple calls that came in, where are they? Maybe if I could. I gotta go back and get it. It was in here. Let's see. Can't remember it off the top of my head. Those 280s from Friday actually printed very nicely. If you would have swung those, 287 trading at 550-ish now, near the high of the day. For anything new for Apple, though, let's see. Yeah, obviously, net call premium is massively up there. Price is kind of above it. Gamma, yeah, maybe a little downside there. Gotta be hitting that upper one right now. And then I want to see the contracts on the day. Yeah, everything else kind of obviously gonna be weeklies here on Apple, but trading 0.81 times that 30-day volume. Yeah, everything's kind of mixed here for weeklies. And the only other, I don't think I had any opening flow on my feed today. Nope, nothing opening flow on my feed today for either ask and or bid, I believe. Let me just double check. Yeah, nope, nothing. Yeah, nothing new for Apple there, West. If you were asking about the Friday ones, obviously that whale. Let's go back here. That whale was still in those. Okay, I have to go back because that. Let me go back one more time. Yeah, I mean, most of that was 9,300 contracts. Most of that carried over. Getting a lot of volume today. Yeah, just double check that open interest tomorrow, but looks like whatever's in, I mean, shouldn't be letting this one go red at all now. Okay, let's take a peek. So Tesla, and then we'll look at the ARC here. So Tesla for opening flow today. I only had the one piece of opening flow here for Tesla today. And looking at my highest open interest, that's not going to really give us a good clue because they're going to all be weeklies, I bet. Good educated guess there. So flow-wise, let's go take a peek in here. And Tesla, probably one of the hardest flow ones to kind of watch just because there's so much retail in something like this, but oops. Let's do 120,000 30 days out and take a peek. Yeah, just deep in the money too. I'm gonna hide those in the monies here. Typically I'll leave them on, but Tesla kind of sucks. So looking at the Teslas here, not seeing much here. Just a lot of small size, and there's so much volume on it where you're not really going to always be able to track that well, like the earlier Tesla one where it's more of a clean entry. Yeah, just a lot of bid side put there, 18 days out. Wonder if this looks like a sell. We'll take a peek. Yeah, those look like put sells there with that IV decrease at the end there, and you're coming in at the bid. Bid side calls here at 921. Oh, I was like at 921, that's that little red candle there, so this was the original flow that we were looking at, that 440 that was posted. ran from that 1679, came up and hit 1864 though. Actually looks like a high of 1938 there on the day with that spread. But some volume there at about 1740 it looks like. So that's those bid side calls there. Then you got those 440s again right there on the feed that we caught. Then you also have some 430 calls as well. Not going to be able to track a whale in this one though. Not going to be able to do that one for you. I'm not really seeing much for downside for Tesla right now, and I haven't looked at the chart. Tesla chart, you're just kind of looks like we're sitting in that channel still. Sitting near that 20-day moving average though. Again, lighter volume on that run up, so something to keep an eye on there. Weekly chart. Yeah, I mean, you did bounce off that 20-day on the weekly there, so I have to kind of monitor this week for sure. I mean, obviously, lighter volume next week isn't, or last week wasn't the best there. Then you want to look at the ARC puts from earlier. These are starting to get a lot of volume on them. So again, that 250 there came down, had some very similar size volume there at 217. Coming back up 237. This one you have to check that open interest tomorrow. There's just getting to be a lot of volume on this one. There, see what that's an interesting one for sure. So that's what's driving up your net put premium here. See how much of this. 41%. Yeah, this chain specifically is 41% of that total daily volume there, and we were trading 0.66 times. So I mean, that's 41% of this here. So that's one you want to double check that open interest tomorrow. Let's see. Yeah, no, West, you didn't miss anything last week. Trust me, there was no action last week. It was a very slow, low volume week. I mean, I probably had 4 trades. That would have been in the trade recap video, excluding the previous week. So I was just like, nope, it's just a spreadsheet week. I'll take an extended little weekend there. Let's look at the meta chart for you here. So meta chart on my weekly, looks like we're sitting right in the zone here. So this will be an interesting spot. So your chart does, like you're saying, is pretty interesting. Sitting on that 20-day. You got your demand zone going back here at the beginning of the year. Bounce, fail, bounce, fail. See if we can bounce out of that. Otherwise, yeah, I mean, you're sitting below that long-term downtrend, though, so you gotta reclaim that at some point, but we gotta get through that 200 and that 100-day moving average there. But last couple days, though, sorry, not the last couple. Looks like the 21st, 24th, and 25th. So we'll start here the 21st, 24th, and 25th. You had that volume picking up there on that upside there, and you did reclaim that 20 days. So now you're just kind of chopping on that. If you were looking for calls on something like this, would probably not do weeklies, obviously. You do have that gap to the upside that would eventually have to potentially fill. Still have one to the downside here. Kind of wanted to fill it, but we didn't hit there. Yeah, you got that one, and then you got the March lows. Or April lows, sorry. Yes, April lows. I was like, I don't think we bottomed in March. So your April lows there, you got another little April gap there to fill. And then you got that upside gap to fill there. I don't think I've had any flow on it today. Nothing opening. Let's take a peek here. Let's see. Yeah, just the bid side calls. Doing a quick little peek. Some more bid side calls here. 650. Yeah. It's not really giving me any direction on that flow. How do our premiums look? So meta's up there. Looks like kind of everything is in line there. Everything's pretty much hit where it's supposed to. Could see. Oops, let's go back out here to the 30-day. Do have some upside volume here, but that would get you back to about that 680-ish level to get those 30-day gaps. Highest volume on the day, yeah, just all weeklies. This one might be interesting, that 980 to 1219 980 call. Probably take that back. Doesn't look like it's going to be a good contract. 53% out of the money, yeah, that's garbage. Garbage on that one. Yeah, very light volume today. 0.45 times that 30-day. Your highest open interest contracts. Yeah, just a lot of bid side calls on them, a lot of it. So I'm not getting a good or bad feeling from Meta here. Gamma, yeah, you're right in line too with your Gamma. I could see, obviously, you had that big spike there on Friday. Could see you get a move back up to, I mean, at some point, it's going to have to hit those levels. Yeah, that was your highest Gamma spike there on Friday too. Interesting. Yeah, that's... for some reason I was trying to read that as a contract. I was like, what are you talking about? 1120. Let's go look at 1120. 600. Yeah, it's starting to, I mean, come back up, and that's kind of where I was pointing at that volume increase too on those days. Yeah, so you're back into that. So, well, right now this would be a supply resistance zone until you break out of that again, because you failed here that last time. So again, I mean, this is a spot if you are looking for calls. I'm probably would look maybe January, February. That's when do we have earnings here? February. So again, I don't swing over to earnings. I would probably look for maybe something before earnings. Maybe get back up to that 200-day. I mean, even if you get a $20 move on here, you're going to do good on options. Yeah, you got to get through this spot here first. That's your main spot. Obviously, you failed there, and you failed with pretty good volume. But again, that volume was due to earnings, so that is something to keep an eye on. What are we doing at the end of the day here? I haven't even looked at SPY here. Just kind of just chugging along here at the 680 level. Yeah, just chugging along, not really getting anything major there. Yeah, just no volume, hardly any volume. And my guess is, if I had to make an educated one, probably still sitting low on your volume. Yeah, I mean, you're half of your 30-day average there. Yeah, I'm stuffed. I'm forcing myself to go to the gym right at 3 o'clock here when I'm done with the live here so I can get back in time for some football and get everything up tonight. I'm trying to force myself and going to the gym right after the market. Otherwise, I don't want to go once I'm done doing everything. See, these 12.5 MA 535 puts. Oh, I don't know how you do that, Wes. That's insane. That is insane there. Everything you touch is sugar there. Yeah, no, I totally agree. I wish I could do that. Wish I could do that too. Yeah, that's how I was over the weekend. Just everything looked good, and I'm like, oh, this sucks. So let's see your IV on this one. These I know. Well, the funny thing about having sugar and then and it always happens to me. Like I used to be like pretty bad with like pop and stuff. So like I'm just like you just feel like crap after like drinking it. I'm just like, why am I doing this? So like I've got my big jug of water next to me. And for me, it's just a taste thing. I need something that tastes better than water. But quick look at these. That IV's decreasing on these. Not a fan of those. Down already a 1.10% on the day. Yeah, it's tough, especially around the holidays here, because everybody has snacks and stuff, and those cookies, the peanut butter cookies with the little Hershey's Kisses in the middle. Those are the good ones. Those are the good ones. Yeah, I had some apple pie on Thursday too. That was delicious. Absolutely delicious. Alright, I don't think we're going to catch anything else here. Volume's pretty low. We're just kind of chopping into close. I'm probably going to hop off here. Yeah, the crappy end of the day there. So, alright, everybody. Yeah, I'm just going to hop off and get ready and then kind of get some stuff up before tonight. But I've never tried those West. Would be interested to see how they taste though. We expect you to post pictures of those in the chat, West. Do a taste test video for us and let us know how they are. Oh, let's look at these gaps quick that just came in. 116.29 call. 6% of the money, not earnings. I know people can't tell the difference between like any of that stuff unless you tell them, and they're like, "Oh, what, really?" These gap calls actually look pretty interesting to me here. I mean, your IV spikes when they come in. 36.93, 37. Oh yeah, these look good. These look good. These are going in the flow alerts. Those look pretty good. 46 days and you're 6% out of the money. You're not up too bad. Never tried monk fruit ever. Never even heard of it till 2:54 p.m. December 1st, 2025. That is a new one to me. All right, let's get these gaps posted in here. Yeah, I don't like the fake sugar either. I don't put any of that. Funny thing is, I actually don't drink coffee, and I know a lot of people put like sugar and stuff in there. I'm just like, coffee is disgusting to me. Like, I like the smell of coffee, but the taste, no thank you. No thank you. But all right, everybody, I'm gonna hop off here, and then hopefully, did those gaps already pop that quick? No way. 81. Why did they pop so quick? No. Okay. All right, now I'm gonna hop off, everyone. So thanks for hanging out. Slower day. Hopefully tomorrow's a little better. But all right, take it easy, everyone.